I outsmarted menopause insulin resistance with breakfast. But before I did, my breakfast was setting me up for failure. Hungry again by mid-morning, no matter what I ate. Energy gone by 2 p.m. Cravings I couldn't reason my way out of. Gaining weight eating what I thought was healthy. Sound familiar? But you can outsmart it too. I'll show you. I have a background in biochemistry, and when nothing else was working, I went back to the science. What I discovered about my breakfast was the turning point. 25 pounds gone, kept it off for over 2 years. I wear a continuous glucose monitor. It sits on the back of my arm and reads my blood sugar after everything I eat. When I started looking at my breakfast data, it completely reframed how I think about how to lose weight during menopause. It all started with breakfast. So here's what's going on inside your body. When your hormones shift after menopause, your body's relationship with food changes fundamentally. Your cells become less responsive to insulin, and when that happens, your body has to pump out more and more of it just to do the same job it used to do easily. Insulin is your primary fat storage signal, the hormone that tells your body to hold on to fat rather than burn it. The more of it running through your system, the more fat your body's holding on to, specifically the deep belly fat that sits around your middle. A 2022 study of over 1,000 women found that after menopause, your glucose response after a meal is 42% higher than it was before. Same foods, but in a body that handles them differently now. Most of what's out there explains biology. What I want to show you is what you can actually do about it tomorrow morning. Menopause changes the way your body handles insulin. I found 2 ways to outsmart it: what you eat at breakfast and when you eat it. To show you why these 2 things work, you need to see what's actually happening inside your body. But here's the problem. You can't see it happening. This is what it looked like inside my body. Spike after spike all day long, from foods I'd eaten my whole life. The insulin stays elevated and the menopause belly fat stays put. And spikes drive hunger and cravings too. The more often blood sugar spikes and crashes, the more your body asks you to feed it again. It's a cycle that feeds itself. That was me, starting my morning with oatmeal and a glass of orange juice, ravenous by 11, crashing by 2, gaining weight while doing what I thought was right. The cravings I couldn't reason my way out of. It all started with what I ate first thing in the morning. I wasn't failing. Menopause insulin resistance was running the show, and breakfast was where it started. But there's an extra layer at breakfast that almost nobody talks about. And it's what makes this the highest stakes meal of the day. Before you take your first bite, your blood sugar is already rising. While you're sleeping and as you wake up, your body releases hormones, including cortisol, that signal your liver to release glucose into your bloodstream. It's called the dawn phenomenon. It's completely normal. It's just your body preparing to function for the day. Your blood sugar is already elevated before you even walk into the kitchen. And if you immediately eat oatmeal, cereal, or toast, you're stacking a blood sugar event on top of one that's already in motion. That's a double hit. And menopause insulin resistance makes it harder to recover from. Your morning coffee can add to this too, even black. The body's response to caffeine can nudge blood sugar higher. I wasn't giving up my coffee. I just tweaked it. I'll show you what I changed. So breakfast isn't landing on a neutral baseline. It's landing on top of something already running. That's the timing piece. I'll come back to exactly what that looks like in a minute. Now let me show you the what. What you eat at breakfast and what you pair it with. Let's look at some of my real data. Before I show you the numbers, I want to give you 2 targets I've built my eating around. I call it my 40-40 principle. A blood sugar rise of no more than 40 milligrams per deciliter at any given meal. Milligrams per deciliter is the standard unit for measuring blood sugar. I usually just call them points. And at least 40 grams of protein at every meal. 2 personal targets from 2 years of testing my own data. Staying consistently under 40 on the blood sugar side is what keeps my body in fat burning territory. To show you, I tested oatmeal on its own. Plain, old-fashioned rolled oats, not flavored, not instant. The kind that's supposed to be the healthy baseline. Here's that result. 56 points above where I started. Past my 40-point target by 16 points from a bowl of plain oatmeal. And plain oatmeal isn't even the worst of it. Look at most breakfast cereals, ultra-processed grab-and-go bars, flavored instant oatmeal packets, all of those would have spiked me higher. We've been sold the idea that these are healthy ways to start the day, but the blood sugar response to a bowl of cereal and a Twinkie is not as different as you'd think. Breakfast became dessert somewhere along the way, and we all just accepted it because that's always been what breakfast just looks like. Now watch what happens when I change one thing. Protein slows how fast glucose enters your bloodstream. It's one of your body's natural brakes, so I used it. I ran the same test again. Same oatmeal, same portion. 1 scoop of protein powder mixed in, 25 grams. That was the only variable. Look at the difference. A 34-point rise. Under my target, right where I aim to be. A 22-point difference from 1 scoop of protein powder. That 22 points is how I outsmarted the spike. A pattern of lower spikes leads to a pattern of less insulin, which means less fat storage. That's what starts moving the menopause belly fat. Not less food, less insulin. And here's the part I want you to sit with. That scoop of protein powder nearly doubled the calorie count of the oatmeal. More calories, better blood sugar response, less fat storage. This isn't about eating less. It's a game plan for a body that changed. These are my personal results. Individual results will vary, and you should always talk to your doctor before making changes to your diet. But they can be a starting point for your own awareness, and that's exactly what they were for me. So here's the full pattern. Every breakfast needs an anchor, protein and healthy fat. The carb is still there, it's just not running the show. The 22-point difference above came from adding protein alongside the oatmeal. But what if you eat the protein first before the carb arrives at all? It's called carb sequencing, and this pattern gives the anchor even more time to work. For me, that usually means anchoring with eggs first, then the toast or oatmeal. That's how I hit both sides of my 40-40 principle. The anchor lowers the degree, it blunts how high the spike goes. And when you're satisfied and stable after a real anchored meal, you're not crashing at 10:30 and reaching for a quick carb just to get through to lunch. Fewer spikes and smaller spikes. That's how you keep menopause insulin resistance from running your body all day. And that's how you get the weight to start moving. Not less food, more burning, less storing. That combination also triggers your body's own GLP-1, the natural version of what those drugs replicate. Protein and fat are the signal. What that looks like for me is almost always eggs. Sometimes it's full-fat cottage cheese or my signature Greek yogurt protein smoothie. I'll show you how I make that in an upcoming video. What I choose changes, the anchor never does. And yes, my coffee, I kept it. I'm half decaf now, and I swapped the sweet creamer for real heavy cream and a little stevia. Easy swap, meaningful difference. But I want to be honest with you about something. The anchor doesn't work for everything. Let me show you where it hits its limit. Some foods spike me so hard that no amount of protein alongside them brings the number where I want. The bagel. I haven't eaten a whole plain bagel without an anchor in a long time. But I wanted to show you a real number, so I tested it. With a little butter, just enough so it wasn't dry. Not a real anchor. And here's that result. A rise of 106 points. I haven't seen numbers like that in 2 years. Not since I stopped letting it happen. And look at the shape of that graph. It spiked twice, 2 separate peaks. Here's why that happens. A bagel is dense, refined carbohydrate. It doesn't digest all at once. The first wave hits your bloodstream fast and your blood sugar spikes. It starts to come down, and then the second wave arrives. Your blood sugar goes right back up again. 1 bagel, 2 blood sugar events, and your insulin stays elevated that much longer. Even with an anchor, I can't outsmart that one the same way. So I outsmarted it differently. Bagels just aren't part of my regular breakfast rotation anymore. Not because someone told me I couldn't, but because I looked at that number and made my own call. When I do have one, it's half. Half the bagel means half the carb load, and that changes the whole picture. Eggs on the side, and I go in knowing exactly what I'm choosing. 1 deliberate spike in a trend that's mostly rolling hills doesn't undo anything. That's the whole game. Not perfection, just a pattern. And now the timing piece, the second of the 2 changes. Give your body time in the morning. Not white knuckling through hunger, not a fast, not suffering. Just enough of a window to let that natural morning process settle before you stack more on top of it. And when I do eat, Anchor comes first every time. 2 moves that outsmart menopause insulin resistance before 9 a.m. That's the whole framework. Eggs are the anchor I come back to most. And hang on, I want to show you something that tells you just how seriously I took that. This is Ella. She's molting, so she's a little cranky. I started keeping a small flock a couple of years ago, right around the time I made all these changes. Our girls give us unlimited eggs. The 25 pounds I lost and the 5 inches of belly fat didn't come from eating less, and I think she had something to do with it. My calorie intake is higher now than it was when I was struggling. The changes came from outsmarting menopause insulin resistance, keeping the spikes rare and small consistently over time. So here's what I want to ask you. Try these 2 things for 30 days. Anchor your first meal, protein and healthy fat, and give your body a little time in the morning before you feed it. That's it. If you're wondering how to lose weight during menopause, start here. Those are your 2 moves to outsmart menopause insulin resistance with breakfast. I have a library of test results I'll be sharing on this channel. Subscribe so you don't miss any of it. And if there's something you want me to test, leave it in the comments. And if you want to see the foods I eat every single day to keep this moving, I'll link that video right here.